Recording in progress. Continue. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm wearing my election hat for today. Thank you. Thank you to all of you guys who have volunteered for the positions coming up starting July 1st, and it's going to be a 6-month term. And for those of you who are missing this opportunity but want to help out the next term, that'll be January. So your time will come too to practice your leadership skills. Anyway, I want to go ahead and introduce Lucille, who's going to be our Toastmasters. And we will have the election today, but I'm hoping that we'll have at least another person sign on so that we can get a quorum, because I think we just need one more person. Okay, so with that, anyway, I missed you guys. It's been 2 weeks and it's great to see you guys with the sun shining. We want to have some good, happy, smiling faces, and summer's starting. And Angelus is here. Yay. Hi, Angelus.
So do you want to do the election since Angelus just signed on?
Yeah, okay. I do want to start the elections. So Devin, are you all set? Okay, so just really quickly before Devin starts that, we've got Stacy for president, running for president. And then we've got Paul for VPE, and for VP PR for public relations, we've got Angelus. And for VP of membership, we've got Anita. And for secretary, we've got Pat. And for sergeant at arms, we have Christiana. So we've got a really, really good board. We've got a mixture of experienced people. We've got new people. So it's going to be exciting. And hi, Lisa. All right, with that, go ahead. I'll let Devin put up the polling. And actually, just a little minor thing on the adjustment or correction on that polling. Lucille has offered to do treasurer, because normally Paul's doing treasurer. So thank you, Lucille, for stepping up to be treasurer as well. Lucille, I don't know how many terms you've been participating, but I want to say you've been on the board ever since I've been around, it seems like, and more so.
I was not on the board in 2016. Paul was treasurer because I was in the district. So for 5 years, I was district, and so I did not want to. I had a lot to do for the district. Yeah. So
in one way or another, one way, shape, or form, you have been involved very actively, either with our club locally or on a district level. So thank you so much for all your wisdom. Okay, with that, Lucille, our Toastmaster today.
Thank you, Deanna. And I just want to say this to Deanna. Thank you so much for serving us for the full term, for the 2 term, which is 1 year. And your enthusiasm just really helped our club, especially being in the pandemic. So I thank you very much for the strong leadership and just the energy that you have. It's contagious. I just want to shout out to you and my gratitude to you for serving as the president, and congratulations for the incoming board. So we're going to have fun today. Our theme for today is convergent thinking, and the word of the day is fallacy. We will use that word, as we all know, because we don't have any, we don't have any guests. So fallacy, we're going to use that during the table topics, which Paul will lead us. It's a mistaken belief, especially one based on unsound argument. Now, the theme of today is convergent thinking. So are you the type of person that likes to gather ideas, logically, facts and everything like that, and apply logic and knowledge to solve a problem, an objective, or make an informed decision? Or are you the type that likes to think outward, think something unique, have the process in your brain, come up with a solution to a problem or an objective? If you are in the first one, you are a convergent thinker. If you are in the latter one, you are more of a divergent thinker. A good example of the convergent thinker is Sherlock Holmes. As you all are familiar with him, he loves to gather all the tidbits, the facts to solve a crime, put the puzzle together, and of course, answer the famous question, who done it? Whereas Einstein is very much a divergent thinker. He likes to think outside of the box. He's creative. And one good example is he asked question, what it would be like to ride on a beam of light. And it took him many years of thought experiment and come up with the theory of what we know today as the theory of relativity. And we all know that the probably most of us have taken that IQ test. That's a test for divergent thinking skills. But there's no test for divergent skills. So who's to say that Michelangelo, who created the Mona Lisa, I'm sorry, Leonardo da Vinci, who created the Mona Lisa, has more brain power than Einstein? Who's to say that who created the Sydney, Australia Opera House are more creative than The Gun with the Wind novel of Mitchell? I find this very interesting, actually, these two thinking processes. But I think the more useful question to ask is, how can divergent and convergent thinking be improved and utilized to strengthen our skills of critical thinking? So divergent and convergent thinking skills are important critical thinking skills. Not only that, they are interrelated, and we applied it in our day-to-day life. So the word of the day today is fallacy, and I'm sure Paul has great questions for us, and we're gonna try to use our critical thinking when we answer those type of questions he's going to give us today. And with that, we are going to do away with the introduction of our functionaries, because everybody is here. If you can rename yourself, the evaluators are Pat and Anita. And then our timer is Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. So without further ado, we are going to our prepared speeches. Hey, Lisa, welcome back. Our first speaker is working on pathways, path innovative planning. He's doing level 2, project 2 mentorship. Oh, I misspelled that. The title of his speech, Mentors, You Are Going to Need More Than Just One. It will be 5 to 7 minutes. His objectives: number 1, the purpose of his project is for the member to define how Toastmasters envision mentoring clearly. The second purpose is for the member to share some aspect of a previous experience as a protege. His personal objectives is to make good eye contact through virtual again. Please help me welcome Charles Bradshaw. Mentors, you are going to need more than just one. Charles Bradshaw.
Thank you, everyone. Fellow Toastmasters, I'd like to spend a little bit of time with you today talking about how mentorship has benefited my life. I've been lucky enough to have many different mentors in over the different phases of my life. They've included family friends, they've included business leaders, they've also actually included ex-girlfriends, fathers. So it's a very broad spectrum of people who have served as a mentor in my life. They're First, I'm going to begin by going over the framework that Toastmasters uses to discuss mentorship. Mentorship in this learning module was really defined as something that's over the long term. The module also went over coaching, which is very different. One of the things I love about Toastmasters is there is a lot of coaching. Coaching is a short-term way to get feedback and improvement recommendations from people. It's very tactical in nature and looks at how to improve the way that you speak. Pat will be my evaluator and he'll be giving me lots of coaching. But it tends to be focused around a single task, whether or not it's not using crutch words, using more vocal variety, or using a stage better, like when we are all in person. Get a lot of great coaching here in the club. However, mentoring takes a longer term view of things. And I believe that mentoring, whether it's in the club or in the larger scheme of life, is absolutely essential to success. Really quickly, the traits of a mentor, they should be experienced and knowledgeable, positive and supportive, respecting and caring, and committed and dependable. Toastmasters really emphasizes that when you are a mentor, those are important characteristics to have. I found that being a protege, being somebody shaped by mentors, those values were very consistent throughout my life. And I really appreciated that as a reference to be able to put into a framework what it was like for me to be a protege. I'm going to start out with, I'm going to give you two examples because I only have 5 minutes of two of the best mentors that I've had. The first one, his name is Ken Dabro. He is an entrepreneur, and if during the 80s and 90s, you probably heard him on the radio selling cars from coast to coast. He built a successful business, and he was someone who really invested in my character development. Not a business mentor. What he did notice was that when I was a teenager, my parents got divorced, and I acted out. I was getting in a lot of trouble, and I was not very good at it. I was so bad at it, I was always in trouble. And being a mentor, he was able to sit me down and he was able to convey his personal experience, and through his personal positivity help me to see that, you know what, I can get through this. One of the things that always supported me was knowing that I had his unconditional support. And no matter how bad I messed up or whatever silly things I did, I knew that he would always be in the corner, pushing me very hard to get right, but he was always there to stand by my side. The second person was Lee Halterman. Lee Halterman was my first and primary professional mentor. He was the former general counsel to the House Armed Services Committee. And the House Armed Services Committee is basically the policy-making body of the House of Representatives in Congress. So it's a pretty prestigious office. And I was a student at UC Berkeley, which was one of the outcomes of Ken Dabro's mentorship. While I was at Berkeley, I decided to go get an internship. And I worked really hard. I showed a lot of potential, and Lee decided to take me under his wing. What happened from there was a long-term education, which has actually spanned 25 years of getting to understand processes, policies, but more than that, relationships, because all these ideas that become laws and regulations, they're not made in a vacuum. It's actually people. And Lee was always prepared, and he was always committed to making sure that I had the understanding that I needed. So those are two examples of my most important proteges. When I look back at my life, I've been really lucky. And when I think of the idea that you mentors, you need more than just one, it's because you need to be a mentor to understand what actually the gift that you're giving is. Currently, I'm working as a lecturer, a guest lecturer, volunteering with Cal State San Marcos to help their business school explore more sustainability options. I didn't know that a lot of these opportunities even existed, and being able to develop these relationships with these students offers me the ability to reach back. I'm in a period that has been called the Great Transition, where you move from a subject matter expert to being someone who is able to give back. And I feel that that is a big part of what I would like to do. However, there's another secret that I didn't quite key into until I really did think about the power of mentorship. Mentorship truly is a renewable source of youth. Being able to sit down and, one, communicate my ideas to other young people is great, but reciprocally, I get to see how they can incorporate those ideas into their lives. And I know that the mentors that I have had throughout my life have been able to look with great pride as I've grown and developed and implemented a lot of the wise advice that they have given me. In short, if you would like to stay young, become a mentor.
Thank you. Charles, 1 minute, please. And Charles, if you could put your email in the chat so that people can send you an email for the evaluation if they wish to later, or they can put it on the chat as well. Okay, thank you so much. Our second speaker, she's also doing Pathways Innovative Planning Path. She's doing Level 2, Project 1. The title of her speech, Up for a Challenge, 5 to 7 minutes. The objectives, the purpose of this project is to practice the skills needed to connect with an unfamiliar audience. Please help me welcome Maria Angeles. Up for the challenge, Maria Angeles.
Hello, thank you, Lucille. I forgot that you guys get my email name as Maria. Anyways, so I actually rewrote this speech a couple times. I kind of took Devin's way of doing speeches. And I was thinking about talking about an unfamiliar topic that you guys might, use into your life. And I thought about probably telling you guys a little bit about my story and implement it more into my speeches. One of those things, as many of you guys know, I was born in Mexico. I came to the United States at 6 years old, and actually I don't know if you guys know much about deferral action. I'm under deferral action, which is DACA. It's a protection for me from being deported, which because at 6 years old, I couldn't get my visa renewed because I don't know what I did wrong at 6 years old. So through all that, growing up, I didn't really have set habits in my life. And up until a couple months ago, when I started an organization with a couple other people like myself, I finally noticed that habits are very important to implement in your life. One of those things being is that I read this book called The Defining Decade, which talks about you living in your 20s and how being in your 20s are very defining into what goes next into the rest of your life. And most of you guys are probably over 20, but I hope this information can also help you because everyone has dreams and goals. And one of the reasons why we're in Toastmasters is for self-improvement. One of the things that my organization, we started a group in order to help each other be accountable for certain goals we have. One goal for myself for this month of June, I have set things that I want to do and achieve, and maybe you guys can do something similar, set some goals and set a timeline and achieve them. And one of the reasons that you might benefit from this could be different things. If you want to work out every day, it benefits you health-wise. If you want to read a book every day, it helps you learn new things. So for my June challenge, I have waking up 1 hour earlier than usual, which has been very hard for me because I don't like waking up in the morning. No phone within the first hour. It is as myself and being on social media all the time, I go straight to my phone and check and scroll. And I know many other people maybe do that. That also comes with a dopamine detox every week. I plan doing this 2 hours every Saturday where I am away from any screen time and go for a walk or something. Dopamine detoxes are proven to help you find joy in activities that you didn't even think that were enjoyable at once or that you were avoiding. Okay. I also am practicing intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting could work in different ways. Myself, I'm fasting from the time I wake up till noon, and then eating from noon till 8, and then not eating anything, and repeating that for a whole month. Intermittent fasting actually proves your thinking and memory, your heart health, and physical performance. There's many other things too. Another thing, don't eat out for a whole month because it helps you financially. If you want to save some money, I know I'm in my 20s, so one of those things is I want to save some money. Drinking only water. I know it's very hard for many of us to drink only water. We always want to have like wine or a beer or soda, Diet Coke or something. So stay away from like the sugars and stuff. Working out every day, it could mean going for a walk, just as simple as that. Taking 30-second cold showers. Many people don't know, but if you take cold showers, it actually increases circulation and reduces muscle soreness. So you could probably implement that in your life. Reading for 15 minutes, like I said earlier, you could always learn something new or read that book that you've been wanting to read, and you've just been leaving it there on the shelf. Meditate for 15 minutes. I know it might be weird to think, oh, meditating, that's something that you never really thought of doing, but you just go on YouTube, look up meditation for beginners, and I'm telling you, it's going to make you feel so much lighter after that first session. And working on your dreams for 1 hour. I know we all have dreams. It could be either career-wise or going on a vacation or something. If you work on it every day for at least an hour or something, it's going to help you manifest that and bring that into your life and, you know, eventually come true. So these are just some things that I'm planning on to do this June. I hope that you guys could probably find something that you guys might want to do and work it in your schedule. It will help you be more productive or help you like financially, mentally, physically, any of those ways. And I would like to see what you guys come up with. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelus. Please take a minute to write your evaluation for Angelus, either in the chat or can email it to her later. If Angelus, you put your email on the chat, please. Okay. May I have a timer's report for the speeches, please, Tammy?
Thank you. So both Charles and Angelus qualified. Charles was at 7 minutes, 6 seconds, and Angelus was at 7 minutes, 7 seconds. Very close.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go to the evaluation, if Stacy is ready with her joke for the day, just mixing it up a little bit today here. Stacy, are you ready for a joke?
Oh my goodness, I forgot. But I have one that somebody told me the other day and I have to remember it. So give me a little bit more time.
Give you a little bit. Okay, you'll come. Okay, how about let's do the evaluation, and after that, before the table topics, you'll start with a joke. Perfect. So I'd like to introduce our general evaluator, Devin, who will introduce our evaluators today. Devin.
Thank you, Lucille. So for the evaluation portion of our meeting, first up we have Pat, who will be evaluating Charles's speech. Please help me welcome Pat.
Hi, everyone. That was awkward. Hey, okay, Charles, great job. The overall speech, it was organized, it was prepared, it was very sincere how you feel that mentors can help people grow. There was good transitions. You had the 2 mentors that you talked about, and then the being a mentor, how that can benefit you. So you had good facial expressions, good eye contact. I think you were working on that. That was one of the objectives. Some things maybe can improve, maybe like a stronger opening. Why should you be a mentor? Or why do you need a mentor? Something, maybe something like that. The vocal quality. You mentioned vocal variety. that would have might have been a good spot for you to change your vocal variety a little or something. I don't know. There was the grammar. I noticed something you said. Those are my two proteges. I think you meant to say two mentors. So that was just a little grammar. But you had good vocabulary, relationships, being prepared, committed, stay young as a mentor. That was a great phrase that you threw in. Well, there was I did notice it seemed almost a little, I didn't see notes, but it seemed like you were kind of maybe reading a little. Here's why you can benefit from a mentor. Some of the times you were pausing a little, it just seemed a little odd. But overall, your great presentation, you're smiling, that made it a lot, maybe very positive and engaging. So thanks, great job.
Thank you, Pat. And next up, we have Anita, who will be evaluating Angela's speech. Please help me welcome Anita.
Thank you, Devin. Angeles, I think that that was your best speech so far. You looked comfortable, you knew what to say, and it was, I thought, a very, very engaging speech. I thought it was genuine and from the heart, and one of your purposes was to connect with an unfamiliar audience. And I think with that speech and the way that you presented it, you would connect with any audience. I know you connected with me, even though we kind of know each other, but I'm way over 20. So it applied to me as well. I love that you started with the reasons why you were making this speech and kind of the thought process behind it. That gave us a lot of information to follow on in the speech. It was very interesting that you talked about your story, and I love that your style and talking about goals and habits, and you were talking about yourself, but then you were also translating it to everybody and challenging the whole group to set goals to improve our lives. I thought that the only thing that you might improve on is, and it's hard on Zoom, are gestures. There were no gestures. And I think if you were standing and in person, that there would have been more of that. Overall, it was a great speech. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure that we all did. And now I'm going to set some goals, but I'll probably break them, but I'll set them anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. And with that, we'll turn it back over to Lucille.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Anita and Pat. Now, let's have Stacy tell us the joke. Stacy, please.
Okay, I found a good one. It's about the witty little knitter. A highway patrolman pulled over a speeding car on a highway, and looking at the car, he noticed that the elderly woman behind the wheel was knitting. The trooper cranked down his window and yelled to the driver, "Pull over." "No," the woman yelled back, "Cardigan."
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Don't laugh.
Thank you for that, Stacy. And with that, I'm gonna want to bring our table topics master today, Paul Barge.
Thank you, Lucille. I don't know how I follow that one. That one's a good one. Cardigan pullover, that's great. All right, so table topics. Today, the word of the day is fallacy. Fallacy is a mistaken belief based on an unsound argument. So please try to use the word fallacy, it's a noun, in your table topics. I've noticed, much as you have, I'm sure if you've been on any type of social media, especially one where you can get into it with somebody else, that there are a lot of logical fallacies, a lot of errors of reasoning. A lot of people have lack of evidence to support their claim. And today we're going to walk through some of these fallacies that are common, and I have questions around them. Some of these might be a little tiny bit political, but this is Expressions Unlimited. So feel free, no matter what, no judgment, to describe how you feel about these particular fallacies. So the first one, I'm sure, experienced this one if you've been on social media, having a discussion with somebody who doesn't necessarily agree with you, and it devolves. It's the ad hominem. An ad hominem is a personal attack against the person saying the argument about their character versus addressing the issue. So one of the examples, and I was just looking up examples of this, so don't shoot the messenger here, but I kind of like this one. It says, for example, somebody might say the strategies of Greenpeace are not effective because they're just a bunch of lazy tree huggers that eat granola. You're like, whoa, wait a minute here. What does that have to do with anything at all with the strategies of Greenpeace? So my question to you is, when was the last time somebody attacked your character, either online or in person? And how did you respond? Or what's the best way to respond when someone attacks your character? Deanna.
Thanks for that, Paul. Wow, this is going to be a difficult one. I had somebody, okay, I'm not vaccinated. Let the world know I'm not vaccinated. And I had somebody in my paddling group say to me that you need to be vaccinated because you need to do it for the greater good. And I'm not saying whether the vaccine is a fallacy or not, but personally, it's just been a hard decision for me because I just feel that it's something that I'm not ready to do right now. And the fallacy of doing it for the greater good could be questionable because right now there's a lot of interesting things that are starting to come out about the vaccine. And one thing is that the trials did not include COVID people who have had COVID in the past. And it didn't also include pregnant women. And so now they're getting results from folks who have taken that vaccine who have had a lot of adverse effects. So questionable whether or not it's for the greater good. People who have been vaccinated are not able to donate their blood for convalescent plasma. So in some way, I hope I'm helping the greater good by keeping my blood pure to help those who may need it in the future. I can't tell if I'm on time or not, but that's it.
Thank you, Deanna. Nice job using the word fallacy in your table topics. This next one, you probably heard of this one. It's the straw man fallacy, where somebody misrepresents or exaggerates your argument to make it easier to attack you. So here's an example of a straw man. Somebody might say, hey, anyone who doesn't support the minimum wage rise to $15 an hour clearly dislikes poor people. You'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. That is, maybe I don't support $15 an hour, but that does not necessarily mean that I don't like poor people. So that's a straw man fallacy. And one straw man these days that you might see on the internet is there's kind of a bit of debate on the unemployment insurance that they've had for the pandemic. There's been a lot of people that have been who are unemployed, have been getting an extra $300 a week. and that's helping them through it, I'm sure. But there's a lot of other people who say we should stop that $300 a week because it's keeping people home and not working. And some people even go a little bit on the attack and say, hey, these people are just lazy. They need to get off their duff and get to work. My question to you is, this particular pandemic legislation or these benefits are due to expire on September 9th. Should the government keep sending the unemployed $300 a week indefinitely? Time limit? What's your take? Devin.
Thanks, Paul. That's a tough one. I think the biggest fallacy out there is that we have any idea how any of this really is working. We've never been in a pandemic like this in our generation's time. And there's just a lot of things that we just had to try so that we could all make it through. And then there's going to be repercussions down the road. We don't know what those will be either, but we have to just kind of roll with it and adapt and do the best we can to support each other, is my opinion. And I do know a lot of people who got the unemployment benefit because they were legitimately out of work. Their line of work just went away. And these were industries that we never thought would have issues. Restaurants, hospitality, entertainment. These were used to be recession proof. So I think there's just a lot of, I would say, understanding and empathy we all need to have, and try to be a little more open-minded and flexible. So I don't know how it's going to change. And there probably are some people that could have gone back to work, but there are legitimately people who couldn't, or they didn't have childcare during the time, so they couldn't go to work because the daycares were closed. So there's just so many factors that I think people use too many broad strokes. So I would say we just need to be a little bit more open-minded and kind during this time.
Thank you, Devin. This one has been on the internet in both ways, so this will be interesting. This next one's called the bandwagon fallacy. Thinking an argument must be true because it's popular. So when I was going to, way back in the day when I got out of high school, everybody was going to university. So a lot of people said, well, if you're not going to university, then you just must be a dummy. Everybody's going to university. Junior college, that's a crappy idea. And so the bandwagon is everybody's doing it. And so if you're not doing it, you must be some kind of loser. And one of the latest bandwagons these days is where COVID came from. For a while there was a lot of sentiment that it couldn't have come from a lab in Wuhan. And so there was social media pressure not to say that and don't do this and don't do that. Now things have switched quite a bit in the media, and experts are reconsidering the idea that perhaps COVID might have come from a lab and not come from a natural environment. Tough question, maybe a little political. Where do you think COVID, SARS-CoV-2 came from? Mr. Hartley.
Oh, thanks, Paul. So the bandwagon technique or fallacy, that's I've heard that a lot back when the Chargers were in town. How many people would jump on the bandwagon when they were doing good. So as regards to the COVID, yeah, I mean, I remember that, oh, it's from a lab or it's from a market, where it jumped between species. So I don't really know, I heard that now that some of the experts are saying it could be that or it could be this, so it's being reconsidered. At this point, it's kind of like it's already here. It's already like killed millions of people. So let's just deal with what we can do now. Of course, knowing how it happened will help prevent it in the future. So that would be beneficial to know that. And just being aware of the bandwagon technique or fallacy is helpful, because there's a lot of that. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon for social media, or I like the dopamine detox. I'm gonna try that. So I think I was kind of all over the place, but thanks.
Thank you, Pat. This next one is called the false dilemma. It's where you are presented basically a binary, only two possibilities, when there might be multiple alternatives that you haven't considered. So for example, you might remember in the Gulf War, after we were attacked after 9/11, George Bush basically told most of the countries in the world, either you're for us or you're against us. A lot of countries are like, well, wait a minute, we are definitely not for the terrorism, but we're not exactly for you and your crusade in Iraq and all kinds of fun stuff. So my question to you is, one false dilemma today that we see is there either needs to be lockdowns or we need to have everything open. My question to you is, where do you sit on that part of the debate? Mr. McKean, I know you want to answer this question. Where do you sit? Can you come off mute? Oh. No. See, Greg's talking. Oh, there it is. Wait. No.
Your phone is muted.
Is his phone muted?
Zoom is not muted.
I don't think
Oh,
you can do it
oh,
on
I
a
see
home
what
phone.
If he's the one with the phone.
It needs a
Yes.
cell phone, not a home phone.
So Greg, there's a 760 number, 7182. Can you unmute that line? Or can you, Devin, can you unmute that line? No. Rats. We're never gonna know what Greg thinks.
How
about-
Oh, wait, you're-
Did that work?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
The mechanical voice told me how to do it.
Okay.
Boy, a lot of echoes there, though. What was the question now? It was
So,
about
lockdown. Lockdown.
lockdown.
Yes.
Well, I agreed with it at first. I agreed with it at first because there was so much we didn't know, and there was so much information floating around. They expected when we had outdoor group meetings that those were going to cause a whole bunch of cases to occur, but that didn't happen. They found out that outside it's really pretty darn difficult to pass. So that was just wrong. We didn't know that at the time, though. So I do think it was the right decision at the time, but I don't think it's the right decision now. I think indoors that wearing masks is a great idea. People should do it. And we've just started going outside recently, the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I did make a quick trip to Portland, which was really, really weird. We hadn't been inside virtually for a year. And to go to the airport and mill around with people was a very strange experience. But holy smoke, was it wonderful. It just was. So I think a reasonable lockdown is okay. I truly do. But overall lockdown it's got to make some sense to it. And I'm just so happy that we're come to the end of the road of this thing, we hope. Oh, and I didn't say fallacy.
Thank you, Greg. Hey, we got through that technical difficulty.
All right.
Well, I'm going to wrap up here because we're running out of time, but there's so many other types of fallacies you'll see. You'll see people that cherry pick. They'll just have a couple pieces of data, but they won't tell you the whole story. You'll see people that appeal to tradition, like, hey, this is the way we've always done it, so we should continue to do it. People always appeal to emotions. People get pretty emotional. Holy cow. On social media, you've seen that. Some people appeal to authority. Hey, Fauci said it, so it must be true. That's an appeal to authority. And then the last one that we didn't get today was slippery slope. You've probably seen that one where, hey, this is an example, if we take away assault rifles, then there's a slippery slope and pretty soon they're going to be coming for all my guns, right? That's just an example. So there's all kinds of fallacies out there, and I thought it was interesting today to just walk through them, and now we can identify them a little bit more when we run into them. So I'm going to turn the meeting back over to Lucille.
Thank you, Paul. That's so fun. And actually, maybe we can do that table topics again another time, perhaps in person. Perfect. Now let's have our timers report for the table topics, please.
Thank you, Lucille. So Pat was at 2 minutes, 6 seconds. Anita at 2 minutes. Deanna went over at 2:12. Devin was at 1 minute 45. Pat was at 1 minute 44. Greg was at 1 minute 44. So everyone qualified except Deanna.
Thank you. Now, Greg, if you can tell us who used the word of the day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your phone is muted.
Everyone used the word of the day.
Thank you.
So I made a mistake, Lucille. This is
Yes.
Tammy. So it's 1 minute 45 for disqualified, correct? So the 3 people that qualified were Devin, Pat, and Greg. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Now let's have the counter report, please.
All
Stacey.
right. Okay. Not too bad today. Charles had a and a Angelus, I think you need to work on it a little bit more. You had 4 ahs, 6 ums, a so, and an and. Whoop, I said Anita had 1 ah. Deanna had a so and an and. Pat had 2 ums. Actually, 1 1 so, and a so Pat, whoops. And Paul had a tongue click. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. And may I have Devin to please put the polls for voting for the table topics, the speaker and the evaluator. Thank you. And then may I have Greg, if you can give us a grammarian's report, please.
Okay. Grammarian's report. I did have some really good words today, but I didn't listen too carefully because I was too worried about whether you're going to hear me or not. Nothing like worrying about words when you don't know if they're going to hear you or not. But I liked from Charles, the protege, and we also heard that a couple more times. I don't know why I just like that word. Maybe because it's spelled so different than it sounds. And Angelus, intermittent fasting, which I never even heard of before today, and defensive detox. No, dopamine detox. Yeah. Stacy, I liked your joke, Stacy. It was one of those where you have to think for a few seconds and wonder if you get it. But it was really good. It was a great joke. And Paul, I liked the names of all the fallacies. That was great. And you always have such great table topics. It's amazing. And Deanna used the word of the day twice, which I thought was an okay thing. And Devin said repercussions down the road, which I liked. And after that, I was fussing with my phone the whole time. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig. Now, I'd like to have our general evaluator, Devin, please, to give us an the evaluation for the meeting. And also after you do that, give us who won the winners.
All right, I thought this was a great meeting. Lucille, of course, very polished professional Toastmaster. I thought she did what is a great thing in the Toastmaster role, was to take a few minutes to have a theme of the day. It's an opportunity to speak a little bit, get a little more practice, and also was very interesting. And something that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about. I heard a lot more people talking about divergent thinking than convergent. And I actually think I am convergent based on your definition. The evaluations, great job, both Pat and Anita. You gave positive feedback and a few things to work on, which is always very helpful. That's why we're here. Paul, excellent table topics as always. You always push us a little further to think outside the box. It's just good. Keep us on our toes. And we're ending about just right on time. So that's great too. And then the winners for today. So best speaker goes to Angelus. Congratulations, Angelus. Best evaluator goes to Anita. Congratulations, Anita. And best table topics goes to me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Devin. And with that, Deanna needed to leave because she has a meeting at 1. And make sure that you signed up for the meeting for next week. It's pretty open. And she sent that actually to the chat. So please do that. Who's that? Pat, are you doing that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let me
so
see. Who was okay, so we need a speakers for next week and evaluators. If anybody has any plans to get one of their speeches done out of the way, or wants to be odd counter, timer, general evaluator, or joke master.
So that's going to be in-person meeting. We have a lot of open spots.
Yeah. Does anybody know if they're gonna have a speech, or they're working on a speech, possibly?
This is Anita. I'm not working on one, but go ahead and put me in there.
Perfect.
We'll see how it turns out.
Okay, thanks, Anita.
Evaluators?
Evaluator. I can be an evaluator. Who wants to tell a joke?
Okay, let's do that one later, Pat, because we're almost running out of time. And
Okay.
before everybody drop off, just email it to everybody. And before everybody else drop off because they have to go to work, let's have a quick screenshot and just kind of wave this way. Ready? 7. We good? Okay, thank you. So please make sure, Pat, do you have any other announcement, or do you want me to announce something?
No, I'll update the how everybody did on the checklist for checking off your speech on pathways, and
Okay.
that's all.
I do want to acknowledge one person. Charles finished his level 2, and that qualifies our club. Devin did last week. Now this week, Charles did level 2 finish. That qualifies our club to be president distinguished 10 out of 10. Woo-hoo! That is wonderful. We've been doing that how many years in a row now? So we're a very strong club, and we're always steady with our membership. And again, congratulations to the next board. Welcome aboard. And my recommendation to you, if you haven't done this for so long, if this is the first time, have a mentor for that role who had served that role before. It's always good to have. So mentorship is not only for, as Charles had said, it's not only for speaking, but it's also for leadership. And with that, unless there's anybody question, I'd like to end the meeting. On behalf of Deanna.